Hey, good evening, Comic-Con. How are you doing? Oh, that's nice and perky. We love to hear that. Thanks so much for coming out because we have another wonderful panelist, a group of people that are representing Nat Geo's Mars. Season 2 returns on November 12th on Nat Geo, and we are going to talk about what's coming up for that season. Amongst the many wonderful people on our panel, Andy Weir, author of The Martian. We've got Lucianne Wolkowicz, astronomer. We've got Dr. Stephen Petranek, author of How We'll Survive on Mars. And then the cast of the show, we've got Jeff Hefner, who plays Kurt Harrell. We've got Jihei, who plays the commander, Hannah Sung. And Evan Hall, who plays Shep Marster. Hello. A boo, no. Thanks, guys. It's so wonderful to have you back, and it's really wonderful to have this show back as well. If you're not familiar, and hopefully you are familiar with the show, it's this wonderful hybrid of actual serialized storytelling, but also with these documentary inserts where we have experts like our esteemed panel that really talk about what the real life would be on Mars based on the science, based on what we project and what could happen in the future. So Dee Johnson is the showrunner for season 2, and I just wanted to ask the experts in the back, tell me a little bit about, because season 2 is based on a colony actually existing on Mars, what were some of the things that you were able to provide that helped give insight, that helped shape this season?
Well, first of all, we needed some kind of tension, natural tension, and so we have new arrivals on Mars. We've increased the size and the number of people, the size of the base and the number of people significantly. But we have a group of miners who come to Mars who want to use some of the Martian resources to build a larger infrastructure on Mars. And they're in competition and in some tension with the scientists who've already been there.
Yeah, and just, and Lucianne, tell me a little bit about, from the astronomy standpoint, what were some of the things that you were able to help that really influenced how they framed everything?
Well, I think from an astronomy standpoint, you do have this tension between business interests wanting to do things like mining on other worlds like Mars, and then the scientific standpoint, you have people like myself who are really interested in figuring out what the history of life on Mars might have been, if there was one, or if there might be even life today. And so I think that provided that natural tension between the different camps, as so wonderfully portrayed by the cast.
And then, Andy, of course, your wonderful book, The Martian, was adapted so beautifully into a book, and so you've been...
Was adapted into a book?
I'm sorry, into a movie, and it's the end of the day.
But you could really see the book version of my book.
The book version is best, because books are always best.
Thank you.
But just in terms of, you've been writing about this space for a very long time, so what were some of the things as a storyteller, but also as somebody that's an expert, that you were talking with Dee about specifically?
Well, I mean, my particular writing style is heavy on scientific accuracy, and so I really like that about Mars, is that they put a huge amount of effort into making everything as scientifically accurate and plausible as they can. And I like hard sci-fi, and so that's my jam.
And that's really the wonderful part. So if you were watching this show, you were getting a lot of really great insight about speculation based in hard science and what you would hope to find there. But then there's also really wonderful character arcs, and you guys are the representation of that. You know, now that there's a colony, now that there is, as they said, a mining colony, tell me a little bit about, especially from the commander's standpoint. She is responsible for how things are running, personalities, different kinds of needs and wants, you know, the scientific community versus the commercial community. Tell me a little bit about what's interesting that you guys have explored this season, and especially as someone that's trying to keep personalities working in this new environment.
Well, season 1 was basically about if we will make it there and be able to deploy a dome and create a habitat there. Now, season 2 is, yes, we have created a habitat, and we are now about 200 people.
Yeah.
We have grown, more people have come through, and we are getting along, things are going well. Not too many impending disasters since the last one. And then comes a new colony.
Yeah.
These guys right here from Lucrum, who are there to exploit the planet.
Yeah.
To drill and to find, you know, it's a very, there's two different dichotomy of you know, Olympus Town and the original
Right.
the group that went there for science, basically, for exploration.
Right.
And then there's the new group that is there for profit.
Yeah.
And it is, the new season basically is trying to figure out how that can coexist. If we can learn from history and not make the same mistakes again. And if we are able to exist together peacefully in a very vicious and dangerous planet.
You know, we're seeing so much with a lot of private companies investing so much into space exploration, into scientific, and you guys kind of represent, with the alternate mining colony, the idea that sometimes if government isn't going to fund what we need from science, commerce will. So tell me a little bit about the viewpoint that you guys are representing, and you know, all things aren't black and white.
Well, I think for us, this was really like, we came at it as like a job, as somebody who would go and mine for oil in the Arctic. I mean, that's not necessarily something that people agree with, but at the same time, that person is a father who needs to make money to support his children. So is he a bad person for doing that job? So I think the show really was this season specifically was about kind of looking at that and seeing how people can, I don't know, help each other. I think, yeah, help each other.
You didn't help us at all.
I did not do anything in this.
Such a hindrance.
I was
to
a bus
everything we tried
driver.
to do. Exactly. Me, on the other hand, I think I did everything. No, I think we represent that historical function, you know, that private industry has had in leading humanity, for a very dramatic term, forward.
Yeah.
And so that part of the story is what we represent. But essentially, it's to plunk us down on the island, or on the planet. I guess it's not an island.
Right.
I really want to be in the tropics right now. But, and then create the conflict, right? And create the tension and examine if we are gonna yet, as humans, do it again. Are we gonna go someplace that's pristine and interesting and wonderful and amazing and unknown? And are we gonna fuck it up? Or are we gonna make it better? Or are we gonna do both?
Tell me a little bit about the dynamic of acting in the show, where they do a lot of really wonderful sets, but then there is a lot of speculation and green screen and things for you to imagine what the environment looks like. They show you a lot of things ahead of time so that you can get in your head, or do you talk to Dee and she's helpful in navigating what would I see and what would I be imagining in this environment, or do these guys help a whole lot in you guys imagining how to live in what would be a real place?
Dee was extremely helpful and collaborative, and each of the directors as well. And of course, being in a foreign land, you know, in the middle of nowhere shooting, it kind of gets you in that mood.
That's true.
Being in a different planet. But yeah, you know, we did our due diligence, and we had amazing support from our team.
I wanted to ask the experts, you know, too, was there, you guys are always discovering new things. You know, science is wonderful in that there's exploration, there's discoveries, there's, you know, reveals of what people have been studying and such, but was there anything that really happened between season 1 and season 2 that kind of changed the dynamic of what you had imagined from season 1 that actually really impacted season 2?
Yes, one of the things that happened was that we recorded a small earthquake, or a Mars quake on Mars, and that gave us a dramatic inset into what the miners were doing on Mars, because they could cause some trouble. We made a slight educated guess that there would be liquid water on Mars, which is what our miners are looking for in it. After we had shot season 2, it was actually discovered a 12-mile-long lake near the South Pole of Mars underground. But people had been guessing for a long time that there would be liquid water on Mars. But we're taking a couple chances there, but it turned out just fine for us.
That's always nice with a TV show where you decide to make a commitment and then you go, okay, fact has helped us. Facts has helped us out a lot. Was there anything else, you know, in terms of conversations, just in your consultation, either of you, that, you know, you felt like there were some discoveries, or there's some of the thoughts that you had thought that you could then lean into because there was more evidence or there was more information that had come out just between seasons of the show?
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the less sexy sounding results that has come out of Mars is this methane that is in the atmosphere. So methane, as you know it here on Earth, is cow farts.
Yep.
That is not the source of methane on Mars, just so we're clear. But we hope,
Their farts.
underground Martian cow farts.
Martian cows.
So the methane on Mars, though, could mean a lot of things, right? It could mean that there's still maybe some geological activity. It could mean that there are microbes or life otherwise under the surface. It could even mean things like deposits of oil. Wow. And we've seen little whiffs of it from time to time in other observations, but now we actually have measurements that it's there, that it varies with seasons. And that, I think, really encapsulates all of the tension that is in the show this season between commercial interests and resource extraction, and also those questions about the history of life on Mars.
Hi, I'm Jackie Jennings with SYFY WIRE. If you can't get enough of New York Comic Con, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel for news, interviews, cosplay, and so much more. What are you waiting for?